You probably already know that plants need sunlight. Without it, they die. But have you ever stopped to wonder why? If plants are living things, then so are we. And we don't need sunlight at all. In fact, too much sun can actually hurt us. So why is it that our leafy green friends have evolved to be such huge fans of sunlight, while we humans have evolved to slap on sunscreen and stay inside when the sun is at its strongest? Well, it turns out that the reason plants need sunlight is because they are full of tiny little solar panels. Yeah, no joke. Plants have evolved to use specialized cells that act like solar panels to capture photons, the tiny packets of energy that make up light. These solar panels are located in the leaves of the plant, which is why it's important for plants to have a structure like a stem or a vine that allows them to position their leaves towards the sun. Photons from the sun get captured by these solar panels and used to power a process called photosynthesis. And that's where the plant takes the carbon dioxide that we exhale along with the water that it absorbs through its roots and uses that energy from the sun to turn those things into sugars. Those sugars are what the plant uses for food. And as a byproduct of this process, the plant releases oxygen back into the atmosphere for us to breathe. So not only is photosynthesis essential for the plant, but it's also the reason why we have breathable air on Earth. It's a win-win for everyone involved as long as there's enough sunlight. But getting just the right amount of sunlight is a challenge for plants. Too much and they can get burned. It's not enough and they starve. So plants have evolved all sorts of mechanisms to optimize their exposure to sunlight throughout the day. For example, some plants can move their leaves towards or away from the sun to optimize the amount of sunlight they're getting. That's what's known as phototropism. You might have even seen a plant slowly bend towards a window where its leaves will get more sun. That's an example of phototropism in action. Other plants, like succulents, have leaves that are coated with tiny hairs that reflect light away from the leaf, acting like a little mirror. That helps protect the plant from getting burned by the sun. Some desert plants have leaves that curl up during the hottest parts of the day to reduce their surface area. And they open back up once the sun goes down or when it's less intense. And then there's the way that plants capture carbon dioxide, the other key ingredient for photosynthesis. You'd think that plants would always want to keep their mouths, also known as stomata, wide open to grab as much CO2 as possible. But that would also mean that they'd lose a lot of water through evaporation, which is not ideal. So instead, plants can open and close their mouths depending on the time of day to balance getting CO2 with conserving water. There are also plants that have evolved to perform photosynthesis in a different way that doesn't require them to open their mouths at all. These plants, which include things like cacti and some types of pine trees, have special pores that allow them to take in carbon dioxide and release oxygen through the same opening. This means that they can keep their mouths shut during the day, when it's hot and dry, and still get the carbon dioxide they need for photosynthesis. So yeah, plants have a lot of tricks up their sleeves when it comes to dealing with the sun. And it turns out that the more intense the sunlight is, the more important those tricks are. That is part of the reason why plants in hot climates tend to have smaller leaves and thicker stems. The small leaves help protect the plant from getting burned, and the thicker stems help support the plant and transport water from the roots to the leaves. Plants in colder climates, on the other hand, tend to have larger leaves and thinner stems because they don't need the extra protection from the sun. Now, of course, there is a lot more that goes into being a plant and surviving on land than just dealing with sunlight. But given that most plants spend the majority of their time sitting in one spot and exactly pack up and move somewhere sunnier, it makes sense that they evolved to become experts at making the most of whatever sunlight they can get. And as a bonus, they give off oxygen while they're at it. So thanks, plants. If you enjoyed this episode, we have lots more where that came from. There's something for everyone. And you can help keep the sun in our sky by supporting us.